The topic of today's presentation is Tanzil and Ta'awil of the Holy Qur'an. As Rishida Saiba just mentioned that it was presented last Sunday on another platform, but that was in Urdu. Today I'm going to repeat it in English, and I have made a few changes as well. Not changes, but I have written the translations of some ayat and ahadith which were missing in the last presentation. So I have written those translations in English as well. So let's begin Tanzil and Ta'awil of the Holy Quran. And before I go to the main session, this is important to note that the content being presented in this lecture is purely based on the teachings of our great Smiley dignitaries, especially the great scholar of our era, Allama Nasir ad-Din Nasir Hunzai. So all the stuff in today's presentation in this lecture is purely based on those teachings. So the sequence of the presentation will be, first of all, we will know the literal meanings of Tanzil and Ta'wil. And then before moving forward to understand what Tanzil and Ta'wil is, we will first like to know how Quran was revealed to the Holy Prophet. After that, we will talk about the spirit or light of the Quran, and then we will move on and we'll discuss the Tanzil and Ta'wil of the Holy Quran. Then we will talk about the sources of Ta'wil, and then the word Ta'wil as it appears in Quran, Ahadith, and the sayings of our pure and holy Imams. We will have a few such things from Quran, Ahadith, and sayings, and I will present it in the form of some questions. So first question would be, was Hazrat Yusuf taught Ta'wil? And we will see how Quran addresses this question. Then who else knows Ta'wil? And then, is Ta'wil a holy war? Then are there many Ta'wils of the Holy Quran? And then on which day does Ta'wil come? So these are 5 questions pertaining to the subject of Ta'wil, and we will have some Qurani ayat, the verses from the Holy Quran, some prophetic traditions and sayings of our Imam. And after that, we will move on and we will have a discussion on absolutely pure Ta'wil or Ta'wil-e Mahaz Mujarrad, which is a very important terminology in Smiley literature. And then we will move on to references and bibliography. So let's first discuss the literal meanings of Tanzil and Ta'wil. So both these words, Tanzil and Ta'wil, are on the pattern or measure of Taf'il. As you all might know that in Arabic, the words are made through patterns or measures, and the words have their roots first. So Tanzil, the root of Tanzil is Noon, Zay, and Lam. So this is 3-letter root, Noon, Zay, and Lam. And Ta'wil is from the root of Alif, Waw, and Lam. And when these roots, Noon, Zay, and Lam, and Alif, Waw, and Lam, are put on the pattern or measure of Taf'il, we have the words Tanzil and Ta'wil respectively. So Tanzil means to bring something down from its origin, to cause something to go down from its origin. This is Tanzil. And Ta'wil is the reverse process. It is the opposite. It means to take something back to its origin. So in Tanzil, you bring something down from its origin. In Ta'wil, you make or you take that thing back to its origin. Now, before going further into Tanzil and Ta'wil, we will first discuss how was Quran revealed to the Holy Prophet. And we all know that the Holy Prophet, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, he used to do zikr ibadat in the cave of Hira. In Ghar Hira, he used to do zikr ibadat. Now, in that time, which we call Zamana Jahiliyat, in that time, there were so many idols in Khana Kaaba. And in that time, the Holy Prophet used to do zikr ibadat in cave of Hira. So a a very pertinent question comes here, that had this zikr ibadat come automatically to the Prophet's mind, or someone taught him? And the another question, had Holy Prophet followed a religion? So what Ismaili literature tells us is the Holy Prophet followed Deen-e-Hanif, the upright religion, which is the religion of his forefather Hazrat Ibrahim. Now we all know Hazrat Ibrahim, he was the third Natik of this great cycle, this Dawr-e-Mihin. And after Hazrat Ibrahim, through his son Hazrat Ismail, his religion came till the Holy Prophet, and all those Imams in the lineage of Hazrat Ismail were Imaman Mustaqar, the permanent Imams. So that Deen-e-Hanif, the religion of Hazrat Ibrahim, was alive in his progeny through Hazrat Ismail. And that very religion, Deen-e-Hanif, was being followed by the Holy Prophet. And Holy Prophet received the Isme Azam, the supreme name, on which he used to do zikr ibadat. And he received that Isme Azam from Hazrat Abu Talib, the father of Hazrat Ali, or the uncle of the Holy Prophet. So it is very necessary to know that Hazrat Abu Talib, he was Imam Muqim, he was Imam Mustaqar as well. So just going into a bit detail of these terminologies, in Ismaili literature, there are 5 ranks of Imam. The greatest Imam, or the highest rank, is Imam Muqim. Imam Muqim is the Imam who gives Isme Azam to a Natiq Pagambar. Now there are 6 Natiqs in a great cycle, and in our cycle, the first Natiq was Hazrat Adam, the second Hazrat Nuh, third was Hazrat Ibrahim, fourth Hazrat Musa, fifth Hazrat Isa, and the 6th Natiq, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa, our Holy Prophet. So all these Natiq received Isme Azam from their respective Imaman Muqim. And for Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa, the Imam Muqim is Hazrat Abu Talib, the father of Maula Ali, whose actual name was Hazrat Imran. And Hazrat Imran, or Hazrat Abu Talib, was Imam Mustaqar as well, because he was in the series of the permanent Imams, starting from Hazrat Adam. So the chain of Imaman Mustaqar never broke. From Adam till Khatam and till now, till date, it is never broken. So Imaman Mustaqar are those Imam in whose lineage the Imamat is always permanent, and the Imamat always remains in that lineage. So we were discussing the ranks of Imamat. First is Imam Muqim, who gives the Isme Azam to a Natiq Pagambar. The second is Imam Asas. Now Imam Asas is that Imam who puts the foundation of Imamat after the Natiq. So in our after the 6th Natiq, the Imam Asas is Maula Ali. And you see that Imam Asas is Maula Ali, Imam Ali is also Imam Mustaqar as well. And the Imam Mustaqar chain does not disturb. So his father, Hazrat Abu Talib, was also Imam Mustaqar. And this chain is never disturbed. So from Adam till Hazrat Ibrahim, then after Hazrat Ibrahim, through his son Hazrat Ismail, this chain continues and comes to Hazrat Abdul Muttalib, the grandfather of Maula Ali. And after Abdul Muttalib, the Imam Mustaqar is Hazrat Abu Talib. Hazrat Abu Talib is Imam Mustaqar as well as Imam Muqim. And he is the Imam Mustaqar, the last Imam Mustaqar of previous Dawr, of this 5th Natiq. And then from Hazrat Ali, he is the Imam Mustaqar of the 6th Natiq. So he is Imam Asas as well. But the chain of Imam Mustaqar is not disturbed here. So the second rank is Imam Asas, who puts the foundation of Imamat after a Natiq. Then we have Imam Mustaqar, the permanent Imam in whose chain Imamat is always there and it is never going to be broken, that chain. Imam Mustawda, the 4th rank of Imamat, and it is the entrusted Imam. Imam Mustawda is that Imam to whom Imamat is given for some time. like Imam Hassan. Imam Hassan is Imam, but after Imam Hassan, the Imamat goes back to Imam Hussein. So in his lineage, in his chain, the Imamat doesn't remain. So such an Imam is known as Imam-e Mustawda. And the last is Imam-e Muttim, which is the seventh Imam of every cycle, is Imam-e Muttim. So let's go back to our main discussion. Hazrat Abu Talib, who was Imam-e Muqim, and he gave Ism Azam to the Holy Prophet. Now, the Holy Prophet was a Natik Pagambar, and a Natik Pagambar and the Imam, all the Imams, all the prophets, they are chosen by God. But still, they follow the same path of spirituality, the same path which is known as Sirat-e Mustaqim, the straight path, the path of spirituality. They follow the same path, so that after they reach the destination, they may guide the people. So Hazrat Muhammad, although he was chosen, he was Mustafa, but he received Ism Azam, he followed that path of spirituality, and when his zikr of Ism Azam was successful, as a result of that, the door of spirituality opened to him. Now, when the door of spirituality opened to the Holy Prophet, first of all, the spirituality of Qur'an appeared as a silent but extremely luminous world in his batin, in the world of his heart. That spirituality of Qur'an, it was initially a luminous world but silent. And after some time, the spiritual epiphanies in that world started to speak, and the Holy Prophet started to hear angelic and sacred voices as well. And after some more time, the spiritual universe of Quran was completed in his batin, in the world of his heart, or in his personal world. And that complete spiritual universe of Quran, or we say that complete spirituality of Quran, was enriched with the wealth of intellect and soul, and it was illumined with the light of knowledge and wisdom. So this was the whole process of acquiring the spirituality of the Quran by the Holy Prophet. Now let's see what Quran says in this regard. And it is a very important ayat in this is chapter 42, and it's verse 52. God says, وَكَذَلِكَ أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْكَ رُوحًا مِّنْ أَمْرِنَا مَا كُنْتَ تَدْرِي مَا الْكِتَابُ وَلَا الْإِيمَانُ وَلَكِنَّ جَعَلْنَاهُ نُورًا نَهْدِي بِهِ مَن نَّشَاءُ مِنْ عِبَادِنَا وَإِنَّكَ لَتَهْدِي إِلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ. God says, and thus we reveal to you a spirit from our command. You knew not what the scripture was, nor what the final stage of faith. But we made it, that is a spirit, a light, whereby we guide whom we will of our servants. And verily you guide unto a straight path. Now this is a very important ayat, and see what God says here is that وَكَذَلِكَ أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْكَ رُوحًا مِّنْ أَمْرِنَا, and thus we reveal to you a spirit from our command. So the revelation of Quran was basically in the form of a spirit from the world of command, because the world of command pertains to God. It is God's. So from the world of command, a spirit was revealed unto the Holy Prophet. And before that, before the revelation of that spirit, God says that you knew not what the scripture was, nor what the final stage of faith. And you see here that the word in Arabic is Al-Kitab. Now, Al-Kitab is a proper noun with Alif Lam. It is Ism Marifa in Arabic. And Al-Kitab means that kitab, or that book, which is in its pure spiritual state, pure spiritual condition. That is the spirituality. It is in the form of a spirit, in the form of a ruh, as it is written here. So God revealed that spirit of the Holy Quran unto the Holy Prophet from the world of command. And then God says, we made it, or we made that spirit a light, whereby we guide whom we will of our servants. So that spirit was given the form of a light later on. So God made that spirit a light. And the purpose of that light is to guide God's servant. So the prophet, the holy prophet, was guided on that straight path through that light. And after that, his journey was completed and he reached the destination. Then what God says, and verily you guide unto a straight path. Because now the holy prophet has reached the final destination. So now he has that nur or that light, and now he is going to guide the servants, the people, the ummah unto that same straight path which he has followed, that is the path of spirituality. So after this very important ayat, let's hear some more references about the spirit and the light of the Holy Quran. So one very important ayat in this regard is قَدْ جَاءَكُم مِّنَ اللَّهِ نُورٌ وَكِتَابٌ مُبِينٌ. This is chapter 5, verse 15. God says, indeed, there has come to you from Allah a light and a manifest book. Now this verse is very clear that there are two things which have come from God, a light and a manifest book. And the sequence here is also very important, that first of all the light has come and then the manifest book. Now through the discussion we just had, we can easily conclude that the light is that spirit of Quran which came in the batin, in the personal world, or in the heart of the Holy Prophet. And after that, that light has come, the manifest book has also come, because the Quran was compiled later on. But first the light or the spirit of the Holy Quran came in the personal world of the Holy Prophet. Now, very relevant question is, where did this light or nur go after the physical demise of the Holy Prophet? Now, if two things have come from God, and those are Nur and Kitab-e-Mubin, or the light and the manifest book, if both were necessary at that time, then after the Holy Prophet, is it that only one thing is necessary and that the other is no more needed? No, it's not like that. So if two things were revealed, or if two things have come, light and the manifest book, so the manifest book is here in the form of Quran, the Holy Quran or the glorious Quran. But the light or the nur or the spirit of Quran was transferred in Prophet's successor and legatee, the Wasi or the Janashin of the Holy Prophet, that is Hazrat Ali. And after Hazrat Ali, it remains in the chain of the holy Imams, the Imaman Mustaqar. So that spirit of the Quran was transferred into Maula Ali, and after that Maula Hussain, and till date, now it is in the batin or in the personal world of Nur Maulana Shah Karim Al-Hussaini Hazar Imam. So that spirit of Quran is there. And this is why we say that Hazar Imam or the Imam of the time is the speaking book, Kitab-e-Natiq, because he has the spirit of that book. So another ayat or another verse we discuss here, which is the last verse of Surah Rad, Surah 13, verse 43. وَيَقُولُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لَسْتَ مُرْسَلًا قُلْ كَفَى بِاللَّهِ شَهِيدًا بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَكُمْ وَمَنْ إِنْدَهُ إِلْمُ الْكِتَابِ. And those who disbelieve say, you are not a messenger. Say, Allah and the one who has the knowledge of the book is sufficient as a witness between me and you. Now again, see, this is a very important verse in which God says that the disbelievers say that you are not a messenger. Now you say that there are two witnesses between me and you on my messengership. The first is Allah, and the second is the one who has the knowledge of the book. So there are two witnesses on Prophet's messengership, Allah and the one who has the knowledge of the book. Now let's ask, who can become a witness to any event? Who can become a witness? A witness or a person who becomes a witness to any event is the one who sees that event, who experiences that event. So if Maula Ali, because this ayat, this verse is in the glory of Maula Ali, because he is the one who has the knowledge of the book, and if he is the witness over Prophet's messengership, then it means that he has seen or he has experienced all those events of Prophet Muhammad's messengership, including the revelation of the Quran. So he also witnessed the revelation of the Quran because he was going to testify or witness his messengership. And again, we see that Maula Ali once said that I am the speaking Quran, Quran and Natiq. So we have the concept of Quran is Samit and Quran is Natiq. Quran is Samit means silent Quran, because the Quran in the form of book, it cannot speak. So it is silent Quran. But the Quran, which is in the heart or in the batin of Imam of the time, it is in the form of spirit. It is the spirit of Quran. It is in the form of spirituality. So that is speaking Quran. And you see that this concept is from the Quran, from the Holy Quran, and it is in two verses. First is Surah 23, ayat 62, and the second is chapter 45, verse 29. So at one place, God says, وَلَدَيْنَا كِتَابٌ يَنْتِقُ بِالْحَقِّ. And in the second, it says, هَذَا كِتَابُنَا يَنْتِقُ عَلَيْكُمْ بِالْحَقِّ. So the God says that we have a book that speaks with truth. So if that book speaks, then it is not that Quran which is silent. It is another Quran, and it is in the form of spirit, in the batin or in the heart or in the personal world of the Imam of the time. So let's continue this discussion even further. And the Holy Prophet said, Inni tarikun fikum mustaqlain, kitabullahi wa itrati, ma in tamassaktum bihima lan tazillu ba'di. The Holy Prophet says, I am leaving among you two heavy things, the book of God and my progeny or itrat. As long as you hold fast to them both, you will never go astray after me. So again, you see that the Holy Prophet, for the guidance of the Ummah, he left two weighty things, two heavy things, the book of God and his progeny, his itrat. And he further says, as long as you hold fast to them both, you will never go astray after me. So to remain on the straight path and to not to go astray, it is necessary to hold fast to both God's book and Prophet's progeny, and not one of them. We have to hold fast to both of them, the book, the silent book, and the speaking book or the Prophet's progeny. Now, if a mu'min, if a salik means the traveler on the path of spirituality. So if a salik does the spiritual journey, he follows the same path, which is the straight path, the sirat-e-mustaqim, on which the perfect man, the insanan-e-kamil, that is the prophets and imams, guide people. So the imam or the prophet guides the ummah on that straight path, the sirat-e-mustaqim or the path of spirituality. The imam or the perfect man or the prophet gives them the ism azam, and that salik, after receiving the ism azam, follows the same path that Prophet Muhammad followed, that any other insan kamil followed. And this is the spiritual journey. And after the spiritual journey, if it is a successful journey, a mu'min also attains the same spirituality that was attained by all the insanan kamil, the perfect men in the past. So the same spirituality is attained by a mu'min if his spiritual journey is successful. And in that regards, Holy Quran says in chapter 29, verse 49, Bal huwa ayatum bayyinatun fi suduril lazina utul ilm. God says, but it is clear signs or clear miracles in the hearts of those who have been given knowledge. Now see, who have been given knowledge, these ayat or these verses or these miracles are in the form of luminous signs, clear signs. in their hearts. So this is that form of book which we say Al-Kitab, or the original manuscript of the Holy Quran. It is in that form. It is in the form of luminous spirituality in their hearts, in their batin. So after this discussion on the revelation of the Holy Quran and the spirit and the light of the Holy Quran, let's talk about Tanzil and Ta'awil of the Holy Quran. So as we discussed the literal meanings of Tanzil and Ta'awil in the start and the beginning of our session, Tanzil means to bring something down from its origin, and Ta'awil means to return that thing or take back that thing to its origin. Now, in the batin of Holy Prophet, in the heart of the Holy Prophet, the Quran was in the form of spirituality. It was in the form of spiritual and intellectual realities. And the Holy Prophet gave those spiritual and intellectual realities an attire of allegories and parables. Now, this was necessary because at that time, the people were not able or were not capable to understand those spiritual and intellectual realities, because they had not followed that path, or they were following, some of them were following that path, but not all of them. Generally speaking, they were not capable to understand the spiritual and intellectual realities. So what Holy Prophet did, he gave those spiritual and intellectual realities an attire of material parables or material allegories. So this is how the Tanzil of the Quran, or the revelation of the Quran, took place, as it was in excellence. Excellence means that the spiritual world transcends the material world. It is above the material world, or the spiritual world is of higher rank than the material world. So the Holy Prophet gave those realities which were in the form of spiritual and intellectual lights, or spiritual and intellectual luminous world. He gave those the form of physical and material allegories. So this is how the Tanzil of the Quran took place, that it was sent down. The realities which were in spiritual and intellectual form, those were sent down to the material world in the form of material and physical allegories. So this was the Tanzil of the Holy Quran. And now the Ta'wil of the Holy Quran is when the unveiling of the intelligible spiritual reality and miracles takes place. Those spiritual realities and miracles which are behind the perceptible material allegories and parables. So when you unveil those intelligible realities and miracles from behind the veil of perceptible material allegories, then this is how the ta'wil of the Quran comes, or it takes place. So this is how we take back that realities from the form of physical and material allegories to its origin, the spiritual and intellectual realities. So we are taking that back to its origin. So this is the ta'wil of the Quran. Now, to understand more this concept of Tanzil and Ta'wil, let's take an example from Surah Adiyat. This is Surah 100, chapter 100, and it's starting 5 verses in which God says, Wal adiyati zabha, fal muriyati qadha, fal mughirati subha, fa atharna bihi naq'a, fa wasatna bihi jam'a. Now, these are the starting 5 verses of Surah Adiyat, chapter 100, in which God says, by the snorting coursers, striking sparks of fire, scouring to the raid at dawn, blazing a trail of dust, penetrating into a host. Now, apparently, it seems that it is regarding a physical jihad, a physical war, in which the coursers are running and striking sparks of fire and scouring and quickly going to the raid at dawn, and then they blaze a trail of dust, and then they penetrate into a host. So apparently it seems a story or an account of a physical war or a physical jihad. Okay, at the time of the Holy Prophet, those jihad were there, but now what is the implication of these verses in today's world, in the modern age? Now we don't have such wars. And if there are wars, then we have missiles, we have guns, weapons, we have atom bombs. So the war is not of that type that used to take place in the time of the Holy Prophet. So now we are going to understand these verses, that how that spiritual reality that was inside the batin of Holy Prophet, he gave those spiritual realities the form in which it is right now, this Tanzili form. So that form that was inside the Holy Prophet, that pertained to the spiritual jihad, to the greater jihad, because jihad is of two types. One is spiritual jihad and one is physical jihad. Physical jihad, we all know it is as it was in the time of the Holy Prophet, but spiritual jihad takes place in all times. All mu'mins who want to advance on the path of spirituality, they do the spiritual jihad or the batini jihad. Now, this is the account of the spiritual jihad. And in verse 1, God says, Wal adiyati zabha, by the snorting coursers. Now, the courser or a horse, it is basically an animal in the physical jihad. In physical jihad, the courser is an animal or a horse. But in the batini jihad, the spiritual jihad, the courser of the spiritual jihad is the zikr of a mu'min. So the courser is the zikr. And here what the ta'wil of this verse is, by the rapid zikr or the zikr sari that puts pressure on the carnal soul through its vehemence. So here the courser is the rapid zikr, and a moment who does that rapid zikr, through that rapid zikr, it puts pressure on his carnal soul through its rapidity and its vehemence. Second verse says, striking sparks of fire. Now, when that zikr continues, it dissolves the carnal soul of that moment. And through the dissolving of that carnal soul, it creates sparks or lights. And a moment when he sits in ibadat, if his or her zikr is successful, they see lights in their batin. So those lights are basically due to the dissolving of the carnal soul. And it is also said in Holy Quran in the terminology of Sibghatullah, the colors of God. So those lights are in various colors, and those sparks which are created due to the dissolving of the carnal soul. So God swears by those sparks or those lights, because it is through those sparks that that carnal soul will convert into the self-blaming soul or censuring soul or nafs al-lawwama. So this is the second verse. And in the third verse, it is said, they quickly move to the raid at dawn. Now its ta'wil is that they do special ibadat of the Ism Azam in the morning. Now the word here, dawn, subha, is very important, because the ibadat of the Ism Azam is always done in the morning time at dawn. So in this verse, the importance of that Baitul Khayal ibadat, that Kar-e Buzurg, or the ibadat of Ism Azam is mentioned. And it is also said that that moment quickly moves for that raid at dawn. Raid in the sense that he is going to fight against his carnal soul, and he moves quickly at dawn for that raid or for that ibadat. In the fourth verse, it is said, blazing a trail of dust. Now dust or the particles here mean the particles of soul, and seizing of all the particles of soul through the act of Israel, through the Amal-e Israeli, in which in 7 nights and 8 days, this all act of Israel continues, and many copies of that moment are made. So his soul or the particles of his or her souls are seized in that act or in that process. So this is the Manzil-e Israeli, or the stage of Israel. After that, a moment's nafs-e ammara vanishes, and it converts into the nafs-e lawwama. So this is a very important stage in the progress, or the spiritual progress of a moment. And after that, in the verse 5, it is said, penetrating into a host, because now that moment has been spiritually victorious. So after that, he has given the ilm. Like in the verse 29-49, we heard that utul ilm, those to whom God gives ilm. So after that, the Amal Israeli, the knowledge is given to that moment, and then he or she penetrates in the army of religious enemy and gains intellectual victory through his knowledge, through the wisdom, through the given knowledge, or ilm ladunni, or ta'wil. So you see that how these verses in their actual form, apparent form, which is the Tanzili form, it has no implication in today's world, but its ta'wil has always an implication spiritually in all times, in all ages. So this was an example to understand Tanzil and Ta'awil through Surah Adiyat, the 100th surah of the Qur'an. Now, let's do a recap. Tanzil, it is the process of explaining intelligible spiritual realities in the form of perceptible material parables. And Ta'awil is the reverse process, the process of removing those veils of parables and allegories from the realities to explain them in their pure, original spiritual state. So these two are the reverse processes of each other. Former gives a physical form to spiritual realities, while the latter gives spiritual meaning to the physical parables and allegories, like we had an example from Surah Adiyat, how Tanzil and Ta'awil worked. Now let's discuss the sources of Ta'awil. And before going forward to the sources of Ta'awil, let's see what the preamble of our Smiley Constitution say. Because the Smiley Constitution, the preamble of that constitution mentions the word ta'wil, and it also gives what is the source of that ta'wil. It also mentions what is the source of that ta'wil. So let's go through that preamble. This Smiley Constitution was signed on 13th December 1986 by Maulana Hazar Imam at Geneva, and it's para A. The para A of the preamble reads, the Shia Imami Ismaili Muslims affirm the Shahada, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, the Tawheed therein, and that the Holy Prophet Muhammad is the last and final Prophet of Allah. Islam as revealed in the Holy Qur'an is the final message of Allah to mankind and is universal and eternal. The Holy Prophet, through the divine revelation from Allah, prescribed rules governing spiritual and temporal matters. Now, this is the para A of the preamble of our constitution that clearly says that the Ismaili Muslims affirm the Shahada, the Tawheed, and that the Prophet Muhammad is the last and final Prophet of Allah, and that the Islam as revealed in the Holy Quran, and the Holy Quran is the final message of Allah. The Holy Quran is the final message of Allah, and Islam as revealed through that book is universal and eternal. And through that revelation, through that divine revelation from Allah, the Holy Prophet prescribed rules governing spiritual and temporal matters. Now, what after Holy Prophet, the physical demise of Holy Prophet, what para B says, in accordance with Shia doctrine, tradition, and interpretation of history, the Holy Prophet designated and appointed his cousin and son-in-law, Hazrat Maulana Ali Amirul Mu'mineen, to be the first Imam to continue the ta'wil and ta'aleem of Allah's final message and to guide the murids, and proclaimed that the Imamat should continue by heredity through Hazrat Maulana Ali and his daughter Hazrat Bibi Fatimatul Zahra Khatun Jannat. So this answers that question, what about the physical demise of Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa? as we saw earlier through that Hadith Saqlain, that Prophet Muhammad uh, left two weighty things after him. And this is what Shia doctrine says, that the Holy Prophet designated and appointed Hazrat Maula Ali, who was his cousin as well as son-in-law, to be the first Imam to continue the ta'wil and ta'aleem of Allah's final message and to guide the murids. And it does not end at Maula Ali, but it says that it continues by heredity through Hazrat Maula Ali and Prophet's daughter Hazrat Bibi Fatima, Khatun-e Jannat. So all the holy Imams in this pure and holy lineage, they all continue the ta'wil and ta'aleem of Allah's final message. Now see, we saw that two things. Prophet left two things after him. One is Allah's final message, the book, and the other is that his itrat or the nur. So the nur, the light which is inside the holy Imam continues the ta'wil and ta'aleem of that holy book, that manifest book. And let's see what the para F of the preamble says. Historically and in accordance with Ismaili tradition, the Imam of the time is concerned with spiritual advancement as well as improvement of the quality of life of his murids. The Imam's ta'aleem lights the murid's path to spiritual enlightenment and vision. In temporal matters, the Imam guides the murids and motivates them to develop their potential. Now see, Imam of the time has two tasks, or he does two tasks. What are those? First of all, the Imam of the time is concerned with the spiritual advancement and then the improvement of the quality of life of his murids. So Imam's ta'aleem lights the murid's path to spiritual enlightenment and vision. Now this is the same thing which we discussed earlier, that sirat-e-mustaqim, the straight path, the path of spirituality. So if a mu'min wants to advance on that path of spirituality, that straight path, and wants to acquire that spirituality of the Holy Quran, then it should be in the light of Imam's ta'aleem. Otherwise, it is not possible. In the light of Imam's ta'aleem, a mu'min can advance and have spiritual enlightenment. But Imam of the time also guides the murids and motivates them to develop their potential in temporal matters, in the worldly matters. So Imam does both these things. He lights the moments or murids path to spiritual enlightenment, as well as he motivates them to develop their potential in worldly or temporal matters. So after these three paras from the preamble of Ismaili constitution, it is very clear that what is the source of ta'wil? It is the Imam of the time. So a mu'min can at first stage acquire ta'wil from the teachings and the writings of the Imams and their hududs, the dignitaries of our religion. So the ta'wil is in the teachings and in the writings of our Imams, and in the teachings and in the writings of the religious dignitaries. So this ta'wil, if we acquire it, it will be known as kitabi ta'wil or bookish ta'wil for us, not for Imam or those hududs and those dignitaries, because inside them it is the living spirituality in the form of a luminous word. So when we acquire those the ta'wil from those teachings, for us it is a bookish ta'wil or a kitabi ta'wil. But while acquiring these ta'wil from the teachings and writings, and while continuing our journey on the spiritual path through zikr, through remembrance, through good deeds, and through the ishq of Imam Zaman, because it is the ishq of Imam Zaman that lights the path, the spiritual path. So if we follow this path and acquire ta'wil from those teachings, do good deeds, do zikr, do ibadat, and if successful, then we can, as a result of this successful journey on the straight path, be given the spirituality of the Quran. And that spirituality of the Quran, if given inside in our batin, it will be the amali ta'wil or the practical ta'wil. So there are two ta'wils. One is bookish ta'wil and the other is practical ta'wil. Now, inside the Imam and the dignitaries of our religion, the Hujjatan, the Piran, that was Amali Ta'wil inside them, the practical Ta'wil, which was in the form of spirituality. But when they wrote those Ta'wils for us, that become Kitabi Ta'wil or bookish Ta'wil. So a Mu'min can acquire that Ta'wil at first stage from those teachings, and then through a successful journey on that spiritual path, he or she may be given the spirituality of the Quran in the form of practical Ta'wil. So these two, the Kitabi Ta'wil and the Amali Ta'wil, or the bookish Ta'wil and the practical Ta'wil, are also known as the acquired knowledge and the given knowledge. So given knowledge or Atai ilm, as mentioned in chapter 29, verse 49, Bal huwa ayatun bayyinatun fi suduril lazina utul ilma. Those who are given knowledge. The book, the manifest book, is in the form of clear miracles or spiritual miracles in their hearts. So the given knowledge, it is the Amali Ta'wil, and the acquired knowledge or Iktisabi ilm, it is the Kitabi Ta'wil. So when a Mu'min is given the given knowledge, let's discuss holy prophetic tradition here as well, that refers to the same concept we just discussed. And the Holy Prophet says, Ta'allamu min alimi ahli bayti, aw mimman ta'allama min alimi ahli bayti, tanju minan nar. Now, this is a very important prophetic tradition in which the Holy Prophet says, acquire knowledge from the alim, the scholar of my Ahle Bayt, or from the one who has acquired knowledge from the alim or scholar of my Ahle Bayt, so that you are saved from the fire of ignorance. Now see the same concept, that if you want to be saved from the fire of ignorance, you should acquire knowledge. And there are two sources for the acquisition of knowledge. Either you follow the second one, which is mentioned here, which is easy, or which is the first step, that you acquire knowledge from the one who has acquired knowledge from the alim of the Holy Prophet's Ahle Bayt or his progeny. Now, it means that the religious dignitaries of our religion who have acquired knowledge from the Holy Imam. So first of all, we can acquire knowledge from those religious dignitaries. And if we move forward, if we advance on the spiritual path, we can directly acquire that knowledge from the scholar of the Ahle Bayt, that is the Imam of the time. So these are the two sources of Ta'wil, that at first stage we can have the Ta'wil or the ilm from the teachings of our religious dignitaries, and on the higher rank we can have Ta'wil or ilm in the form of given knowledge in our batin, in our heart, directly from the scholar of the Ahle Bayt, which is the Imam of the time. Now, in accordance with this tradition, the prophetic tradition, there is a verse of Allama Nasiruddin Nasir Hunzai, our great teacher, that Nuqta-e Qur'an, Nuqta-e Agaz-e Qur'an, Nek Bishinas, Pasbiyab, Ilmu Hikmat az Alif ta ya, Varaye Iktisab. He says that duly recognize the beginning dot of the Quran and attain the knowledge and wisdom in its entirety from A to Z without any effort of its acquisition. So this is the beginning dot of Quran. Now, what is the beginning dot of Quran? We have a saying of Maula Ali, Ana nuqtatu ba'i Bismillah. I am the dot of the ba of Bismillah. So that beginning dot of the Quran is Maula Ali and the Imam of the time. So duly recognize the Imam of the time. And if you duly recognize Imam of the time, then you will be given, or you will attain the knowledge and wisdom in its entirety from A to Z without any effort of its acquisition, because it will be given in the batin, in the heart, or inside, or in the personal world. Now, after this, let's discuss some of the Quranic verses, ahadith, and sayings of Imam in which word ta'wil has appeared. So the first question we ask is, was Hazrat Yusuf given ta'wil or was he taught ta'wil? And what, excuse me, okay, what the Holy Quran says in verse 21, chapter 12 is, وَكَذَلِكَ مَكَّنَّا لِيُوسُفَ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَلِنُعَلِّمُهُ مِنْ تَأْوِيلِ الْأَحَادِيثِ وَاللَّهُ غَالِبٌ عَلَى أَمْرِهِ وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. God says, thus we established Yusuf in the earth so that we teach him the ta'wil of sayings, and Allah is the master of his affairs, but most people do not know. Now the question is, was Hazrat Yusuf taught ta'wil? And what Quran answers or responds is, thus we established Yusuf in the earth so that we teach him the ta'wil of sayings, ta'wil al-ahadith, the ta'wil of sayings. So God says that he taught Hazrat Yusuf the ta'wil of sayings, and before that he established Yusuf in the earth. Now very pertinent question here is, in which earth was Yusuf established? Is it this physical earth? If it is this physical earth, then we can ask that there are several peoples who are disbelievers in this earth, in this world, who are well established in the earth. So is it that they know the ta'wil? Because God says that we established Yusuf in the earth so that we teach him the ta'wil of sayings. So today, if in the world there are several peoples who are well established in the earth, do they also know the ta'wil? So its answer is certainly no. This is not this world, this is not this earth, which is the physical earth, but this is the earth of the personal world, the batin, the inside, the world or the earth of the heart, wherein God teaches ta'wil to anyone. So Hazrat Yusuf was established in the earth of his personal world, where he started the journey of spirituality, the path of spirituality. He started journey on that path in his personal world, in the earth of his personal world. And when he was established there, when that journey was successfully completed, God taught him the ta'wil of sayings. So this is a very important ayat. And after this, the question is, who else knows ta'wil? Was that Hazrat Yusuf alone who knew ta'wil, or are there others as well who know ta'wil? So the Holy Quran in chapter 3, verse 7 says, وَمَا يَعْلَمُ تَأْوِيلَهُ إِلَّا اللَّهُ وَالرَّاسِخُونَ فِي الْعِلْمِ. No one knows its ta'wil except Allah and those who are well grounded in knowledge. Now here, ta'wil is known by Allah and those who are well grounded in knowledge. Now one can ask, who are well grounded in knowledge? One person we know, it was Yusuf. But here it is in plural, rasikhun. There are several people who are well grounded. So one may say that it is Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa because he is the chief of the prophets. So he knows ta'wil. And who else? If someone say that it is okay, this is Allah and Yusuf and Muhammad, then we can certainly ask that it is not about two persons. After Allah, it is not about two persons, because here rasikhun is in plural, and we can analyze this word and we can do an analysis of the word rasikhun. In Arabic, we have a singular form, a dual form, and a plural form. So for the word rasikh, rasikh means well grounded. Rasikh is singular. If there are two persons who are well grounded or well founded, then it should be rasikhan. If it is more than two, three or even more, then it should be rasikhun. And here it is plural. It is in plural form, rasikhun. So it means that these are three or more persons, not two. For two, it should be rasikhan. So these are three or more persons. So Allah knows the ta'wil, and there are several persons who know the ta'wil of the Quran, and those persons are well grounded in knowledge. And let's see what Maulana Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam says about this verse when asked about this verse, he says, the Holy Prophet was the most excellent among the Rasikhun fil ilm. Indeed, God taught him all of what he revealed to him from Tanzil and the Ta'awil, and nothing was revealing to him except that he used to know its Ta'awil. Then after him, the Rasikhun fil ilm are the Awsiya, the legatees, who know Qur'an's Ta'wil completely. So this saying of Imam Muhammad Baqir is very explicit and very clear that Prophet Muhammad was the one who knew Ta'wil, and he knew Ta'wil of everything that was revealing to him. And after him, the Imams, all the Imams, they know Qur'an's Ta'wil completely. They know its Ta'wil completely. So after this question, we have another question. Is Ta'wil a holy war? And this is because the Holy Prophet once said, Inna minkum man yukatilu ala ta'wil al-Qur'ani kama qataltu ala tanzilihi. Holy Prophet said, indeed, among you there is the one who will fight for the sake of the ta'wil of the Qur'an, as I did for the sake of its tanzil. When the Holy Prophet was asked, who is he? Holy Prophet said, he is the mender of the shoe. Now, what happened at that time that the Holy Prophet was walking with some of his companions, and the strap of his shoe broke down. So Maula Ali picked the shoe and started repairing it. And then the Holy Prophet said that indeed among you there is the one who will fight for the sake of the ta'wil of the Quran, as I did for the sake of its tanzil. And when asked, who is he? The Prophet said, he is the mender of the shoe, because at that time, the shoe was being mended by Maula Ali. So this is a very, very important and significant hadith of the Holy Prophet. And in our Smiley literature, this is known as Hadith Khasifun Na'al. Khasifun Na'al means mender of the shoe, because at that time Maula Ali was mending the shoe and he was the mender of the shoe. So it is now his title, Maula Ali's title, Khasifun Na'al, and this hadith is titled as Hadith Khasifun Na'al. So this hadith is very clear that Ta'wil is a war, and Maula Ali, and after Maula Ali, the holy Imams from his holy lineage will fight for the sake of Ta'wil, as Prophet Muhammad fought for its Tanzil. And both Tanzil and Ta'wil, as the first step, these are invitation. People are invited towards Tanzil and Ta'wil. And if the invitation is not accepted, then it becomes a war. And it takes the form of a war. So the Prophet Muhammad invited everyone to the Tanzil, and when not accepted, he fought for the Tanzil. And similarly, Imam of the time invites towards the Ta'wil, and when not accepted, he fights for the Ta'wil. And on another occasion, Holy Prophet said, Ana sahibu tanzili wa aliyun sahibu ta'wil. I am the master of Tanzil and Ali is the master of Ta'wil. Now, this also confirms what we just discussed, that the Prophet Muhammad is the master of Tanzil, because the Natiq Paigambar brings Tanzil. And after him, the foundation Imam, the Imam Asas, and after him, all the Imams through his lineage are the master of Ta'wil. As Maulana Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah also said, now I don't fight with the Zulfiqar of iron, rather I fight with the Zulfiqar of knowledge. So Imam of the time now is fighting with the sword or the Zulfiqar of knowledge or of the Ta'wil. So another question, are there many Ta'wils of the Holy Quran? And indeed, yes, a hadith says, indeed, the Quran has a Zahir and a Batin, and every Batin has 7 Batins. According to another version, 70 Batins. So Quran has just one Tanzili form, just one Zahiri form, but its Batin or its Ta'wil can be 7 or 70 or even more. And Imam Jafar Sadiq also told multiple Ta'wils of a verse to a murid. And it is narrated in one of the books of Sayyidina Qazi Noman, that Imam Jafar Sadiq told multiple Ta'wils of a verse to a murid. And when he asked that so many Ta'wils of a verse, Ya Mawla, Imam said that yes, I can give you several Ta'wils, 70 Ta'wils or even more than that. So Ta'wil is related to the entire cycle of the sixth Natik, because the sixth Natik, Prophet Muhammad, revealed the Tanzīl, and now Ta'wil is related to the entire cycle, that is more than 1,000 years. And if it is more than 1,000 years, then since a chain of changes continues to occur, therefore Ta'wil also evolves during this entire cycle, uh, according to the exigencies of time and space. Okay, now another question: on which day the Ta'wil come or comes or will come? Okay, this is regarding chapter 7, verse 53, in which God says, Hal yanzuruna illa ta'wilahu yawma ya'ti ta'wiluhu. Do they look for aught else but its ta'wil, the day its ta'wil comes or will come? Now this verse is very clear. Do they look for aught else but its ta'wil, the day its ta'wil comes or its ta'wil will come? Now here the word ya'ti is very important. Ya'ti is basically in aorist tense, al-failul muzari in Arabic, aorist tense, and aorist tense comprises both the meanings of present tense and the future tense. So ya'ti means comes, as well as it means will come. So the ta'wil comes and the ta'wil will come. Both are correct. And Qur'an's ta'wil comes to a successful personal world after the personal resurrection in all times, in every age, in every time. Whenever a murid, a moment has a successful journey in the path of spirituality, he gets the ta'wil or the Quran, the ta'wil of the Quran comes in his batin, in his heart after that successful journey. So the ta'wil comes in every time, in every age. But the ta'wil will come, Quran's ta'wil will come to the world as a whole in the cycle of resurrection. When the cycle of resurrection comes, the ta'wil comes to the whole world as a whole. And we will discuss more on it in our last slide, that what is that ta'wil which comes as a whole in the cycle of resurrection. And this is now we are going to discuss that is absolutely pure ta'wil, or ta'wil-e-mahaz mujarrad. Now this is a terminology in our literature, Ismaili literature, ta'wil-e-mahaz mujarrad, which is translated as absolutely pure ta'wil, and it is also known as luminous ta'wil or unveiled ta'wil. Now, this is the pure ta'wil which is given to someone in their personal world, in which the real spiritual and intellectual manifestations and miracles are described without the attire of allegories and the veil of parables. Now, the final ta'wil, the ta'wil which is unveiled and which is in their pure spiritual and intellectual state of intellectual manifestations and miracles, that ta'wil is known as ta'wil-e-mahaz mujarrad, or the absolutely pure ta'wil. And it comes to someone in their personal world after they reach their destination, or when their journey is successful. But in the world as a whole, this final ta'wil is known as the ta'wil of the cycle of resurrection, the ta'wil of Dawr-e Qiyamat, or the ta'wil of Dawr-e Kashf. And this ta'wil comes in the world as a whole when the cycle of resurrection starts, or the Dawr-e Kashf starts, because on those haqaiq, or on those realities, there is a cover, there is a veil throughout the cycle of concealment, the Dawr-e Satr. Throughout that cycle of concealment, those realities are behind a veil, and in that cycle of Qiyamah, the cycle of resurrection, the veil is removed, and the ta'wil in its original pure form, or the spiritual form, is now or it comes in the world. So that ends today's session, and this slide shows you the bibliography, the books or the articles that were referred to for the preparation of today's session. So books of our revered teacher Allama Nasiruddin Nasir Hunzai, and those are translated into English by Dr. Fakir Muhammad Hunzai and Rashida Noor Muhammad Hunzai Sahiba. And I have referred to Qur'an or Ruhaniyat, which is translated into English as Qur'an and Spirituality. Another book, Mi'raj-e-Ruh, The Ascent of Soul, and Kitabul Ilaj, the Book of Healing. Now, this is a very large book, but I have consulted a chapter in the Book of Healing, which is known as Amsilai Asrar Wahi, or the examples of secrets of Wahi. These are two parts. This article is in two parts in the Book of Healing, and I have referred to those articles. Then for the Ta'wil of Surah Adiyat, which I discussed in today's session, that was from Qurratul Ain, the coolness of eye. And the ahadith, the very important ahadith, which I mentioned throughout my session in the love of Maula Ali, or the Ahl Bayt, or regarding Ta'wil, or the war on Ta'wil, all those ahadith are mentioned in this book, The Holy Ahlul Bayt in the Prophetic Traditions, which is compiled by Dr. Fakir Muhammad Hunzai and Rashida Noor Muhammad Hunzai Sahiba. And after that, there are two articles. There are more than two articles, but two articles are mentioned here by Dr. Fakir Muhammad Hunzai. One is Nurani Ta'awil Ya Kashfi Ta'wil. It is originally written in Urdu with this title, and it is translated into English by Rashida Hunzai Sahiba as Luminous Ta'wil or Unveiled Ta'wil. And the other article is The Necessity of Ta'wil. And all these books and articles are available on our websites, www.monoreality.org, and there are two more websites, www.ismaililiterature.org and www.ismaililiterature.com. So all these books and articles are available on our three websites. So with this, I end my session, and thank you very much to the revered audience today for listening to me. Thank you so much. Ya Ali Madad.